Hey, it's after 10 o'clock and we're running late again for the Micast show. Hey, where are we at? Hey, there we are. Hey, there's the flyer for the Tri-County Poultry Show and Farmers Market coming up. October 21st. It's my own event. I can't remember the date. Got so much on my mind. Oh, man. So I had a guest scheduled today that does a PT test on chickens up in Polk County, but she had to take off to go to Lake Sam Rayburn, where their family owns a lake house, to get some stuff out of it that she wouldn't want to lose in case they have a fire. That's a big thing right now. It's fires all over the place, grass fires, wildfires all over the state. I know the guys at Needham Fire Department. I know all of them real well. They're always, seems like every weekend during the summer, they're out fighting fires at another place other than their own town. So they're on that like Texas task force, that goes out and fights fires everywhere. So it's a hot one. It is. Last night we got a bit of rain. Last night we got a bit of rain. It hit me on the side of the head. Wind picked up. Had a storm up Magnolia. Had a storm down Cypress. I'm right in the middle of it. Boom! The wind came in and blew a drop of rain right in the side of my head. That was it. Hey, let me get this stupid chicken off my head. And I'm going to put on my Lone Star feed and fertilizer hat. Are you feeding Lone Star feed? Are you? Well, I'm not. I just bought the hat. Actually, I take that back. I do feed some Lone Star feed. I use the hand scratch during the winter months, or something else I like to feed when it gets really cold is a super scratch, which is a really good hen scratch. A little bit more expensive, but it's got a little extra stuff in it. Smells real good too. But the thing is, though, is during the summer months it attracts ants, and then it's got too much corn. So that corn does it. It warms you up, and we don't need our chickens any warmer than they already are, if you know my deal. Hey, where's Bailey at? Bailey, you over there? Bailey, say hello. Say hello. You gonna say hello? Yeah, you can see her over there sitting in her chair. She shares that chair with Howard Davenport when he comes over and does a podcast once a month, So they have to fight over the chair. But when he's not here, she's there sitting in his place for him. Yeah, Bailey likes Howard. Everyone likes Howard. He's a great guy. He's with if you're wondering, if you don't know who Howard Davenport is, then you don't know a lot about chickens in this area. Howard is with Lone Star Chicken Care. He and Marissa Weaver run this little nonprofit organization, and they go around treating chickens for free. I mean, if you have a chicken dying, or it's been attacked by a dog or a coyote or a fox or whatever, even emus, ostriches, ducks or geese, you can look up Lone Star Chicken Care on social media, on Facebook and so forth, and they have a website. But they'll come out and take care of your birds for you. They like donations, of course. They do. And they have a lot of people that follow them. They got some doctors and veterinarians that follow them, too, that donate, because they do a lot of good. Schooling to be a vet for chickens is a lot longer for dogs and cats. That's for sure. There's a lot more to learn, I've been told. I mean, the schooling's like an extra dozen years or so. But hey, where you going, Bailey? Come here. Get over here. Get up here. Come see us. Come on. There we go. There's my girl. They can't see right now because the sign's up here. Let me hide that real quick. But there she is. Yeah, we love you. Yeah. You go lay down. You're a good girl. Bailey just had her nails done. I trimmed her nails. And I filed them. She's the only dog that lets me file her nails. But even after you clip a dog's nails, they're still kind of sharp. So I like to file them down a little bit, make them real smooth, and she loves it. She probably let me paint her nails if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. That's a little too much. But good dog here. I love her to death. She does me a lot of good. Last night, I didn't take my medication, and sometimes I forget, and I didn't take it last night. I had bad dreams, and I just reached over and grabbed her and gave her a big old hug, and she knew that I needed some attention. She came over and gave me a big old hug and snuggled up next to me. She's awesome. Yeah, she is. Yes, she is. I mean, she helps me out physically as well. She helps me out with the chairs. She's the best. But she's gonna be she's gonna got a doctor's appointment on September the 1st. I'm gonna have her spayed, and then the organization we get schooling from, the Rescue for PTSD, the nonprofit that teaches Bailey and I how to have Bailey be a service dog for me. It's their rules. You know, if you want to get their service dog tabs, your dog has to be spayed or neutered. You know, which is fine. You hear that? One of my roosters are just going off. I don't mind that at all. I mean, I would love to have a litter of puppies from her. I really would. And I would love to donate them to other veterans and first responders that need service dogs. But, man, it's a lot of work. I mean, I had puppies, I had a couple litters of puppies back in my 30s. And that was a lot of work then. But, you know, being I'm disabled with my leg problems and getting up and down and, you know, my knees and little bumps and bruises and scratches, isn't good for me to get puppies. So, and then, you know, having litter puppies, I'm going to want to keep one, of course. So I don't need it. I don't need puppies. So I'm having her spayed. And once we do that, she'll do her public access tests and we'll get her service dog tabs and she'll be all done with school. Oh, yeah. So, hey, let's get on to what we're going to talk about today. Two things. Coffee being one of them. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ooh, hot cup of coffee. Only my third cup. Should we talk about coffee or the other thing? No, let's talk about the other thing. So we're discussing the fires and wildfires and everything. You know, if you grew up in Southeast Texas, like I have, you dealt with hurricanes, you dealt with flooding. And then if you live out in the country a lot of times, you might deal with fires as well. Growing up, Mom had a house fire. And that was devastating. She lost her 4 miniature dachshunds. She lost a lot of great belongings. Mom was an antique collector. She lost a lot of great old antiques. It was horrible, you know. But the whole downstairs of the house is pretty much gutted out. But the upstairs is okay. But the problem upstairs was everything was all smoky. And that smoke just doesn't come out. They have these ozone chambers. They pump oxygen in them and they help get rid of the odors and everything. But no, it's still there. It's still there. I mean, until this day, I'd walk into Mom's house sometimes and you'd get a whiff of smoke. Or you'd walk outside by the kitchen, breakfast room window, and I'd always smell smoke right there. And the reason, I don't know why, but that's like where the fire started, was in her breakfast room. And but that's like where it started right there. And you'll smell it right there. Craziest thing ever. But I'll never want to go through a fire again. Well, I've been through a flood. I had a shop in the early 2000s in a leather shop where I did custom leather work and sold leather supplies, and my shop was flooded. That was devastating. But it was just only a foot up on the sheetrock. We cut out the sheetrock, replaced the sheetrock, tore up the floors, cleaned it all up and everything. And we had it. I was back open in a couple of days, so it wasn't too bad, So I had to put a water in the shop. But my warehouse where I had stored leather had many feet of water in there and lost everything, So that was a tough deal. But then you got tornadoes, and they have those all over the country nowadays. But then we have hurricanes, and hurricanes bring in heavy rains, more tornadoes, and heavy winds. And growing up, when I was a kid, mom and dad had a house in Galveston, down in Sea Island, West Galveston Island. Great place to grow up. My nephew and his wife and 3 kids. They have a house in the same neighborhood now. And they just don't like it like we used to. We'd go down there every weekend. We'd be down there every weekend. It was great. But every time there'd be a hurricane coming, we would have to drive down to Galveston, board up the windows, bring out all the belongings we want to bring home with us, and drive back to Houston. And then if the storm passed, we'd go back down here, take all the boards off the windows, and put everything back. And there'd be some times when the next week another storm pops up in the Gulf and you're turning around doing the same thing again. And it was annoying as ever having to do it, but it was well worth it because it was a lot of fun, that place. Having a house down there on the coast, and fishing and all that, having fresh fish, and now I have fresh eggs. Woo-hoo, yes. And this morning I had a very big fresh egg. It was delicious too. I have a Wyandotte. I bought a few of them just to see what they look like, and I had a Wyandotte rooster. I sold him a while back. I got rid of him because I don't need a rooster. I'm not going to get into breeding them or anything. I just wanted to have a couple. So I got this one is brown and white. She's gorgeous. Well, she laid an egg this morning, and I could hear her bellowing in that egg-laying nest. And I'm like, my Lord, what bird is in there? So I look in there, and it's that Wyandotte. And she steps out, and she's smoking a cigarette. No, I'm kidding. She's not. But I opened up that egg-laying nest, and my Lord, it was the biggest egg I've ever seen in my life. It was huge. And I'm like, my Lord, how did you ever pass this egg? It was just huge. But back to the story. I'm running off again. But back to the evacuations and all that. But we never evacuated. Never in my life did I ever evacuate from somewhere due to a fire or weather or storm, whatever. Never have I. I mean, I went in the military. I came out of the military. I went in law enforcement. Even when I was in law enforcement, I always volunteered to work during a storm. It didn't bother me, it just didn't scare me. I mean, I always drove a four-wheel drive truck or a three-quarter-ton truck that was a little bit higher up in the air than your normal vehicles were. So, I could make it into work and so forth. And I'd be in, myself and another person would be in charge of the office for maybe 24, 48 hours. We'd have food and everything with us. I remember being stuck at 515 Rusk in downtown Houston at the Federal Building for a couple storms because I volunteered down there to do it. And but Mom has had her big house, and she felt safe enough by herself, and being north of Houston a little ways. But as she got older, and I was taking care of her, and she was on oxygen. Every time a storm would come in, I'd be worried sick of losing power and not having electricity for her oxygen, because her oxygen wasn't a tanked oxygen; it was electric. It pumped. It was like an electric pump. And if the power went out, I had a portable unit that would last about 3 hours. And I'd have to go out in the truck and plug it in to charge it up. But usually we always got power on pretty quick, or else I'd have a generator having to crank up that. So evacuations isn't something I've ever done. I'd rather stay at home and help people and work and help out my neighbor, my community, and stuff like that, which I've done many times in the past, help out neighbors with storm damage and trash and all that. So a thing came up to me last night. I was talking with the gal that was going to come on and about the wildfires. And I have some distant cousins that are up in Jasper, Texas. And the mother and father are both volunteers, firefighters. They mainly just drive trucks, work traffic and stuff like that. But all three of their kids are volunteer firefighters, and their daughter's a paramedic. And I think they're all the other ones are volunteers. But they've been out fighting wildfires up in Jasper, up by Lake Sam Rayburn. So Tanya Lynn's ship was supposed to come on my show today. And Tanya, I hope you're being safe today. She was driving up to Lake Sam Rayburn to get some stuff out of her house in case of a fire. And she told me where she was going, and it just so happens I had all the information on it from watching Michelle Byerly and Rayleigh Byerly's Facebook page, because they're posting up, what's being evacuated and what's not to other neighbors and friends up in Jasper. So I was able to tell her what's going on up there off of Farm Road 63, which is where she had to go to get to her lake house. So I hope Tanya's safe up there today. She's interested in showing at our show this year. But it comes back to this. Are you ready to evacuate your house? I mean, you got to prepare for your family and your pets and your chickens too, and livestock. I was thinking about that yesterday. What am I going to do if I had to evacuate due to a fire? I mean, if it was raining and storming, I wouldn't evacuate. I would batten down the hatches and stay here. But if there's a fire coming, yeah, I'm going to have to evacuate. I am. and I own 87 chickens. I'm like, man, what am I going to do with them all? So I figured I would just load up Bailey and I in the front seat of the truck, and in the extended cab, put all a bunch of personal belongings I need to keep. But then all the chickens, I have a covered truck with a camper on the back. I think I would just throw them all in there, let them all free range in the bed of the truck, with some water and food in there, and put one of the trash cans. I have metal trash cans in the back with food in it, and take all the cases of water I have and put them in the back, and then just let all the chickens roam around the back of my truck. They'll be a little cramped, but they'd be alive. And then I have poultry netting, that electric poultry netting. I'll just take that, I'll wind it up, take that with me. And if I need to stop somewhere, I can stop, put that out, let them free range for a little bit, and then spend a day trying to gather them back up, put them back in the truck. But they'd still be alive, That's something I thought about I could do, I have an enclosed trailer that if it was cooler out, I would put them in that. But, when it gets cooler, it'll probably be out of the fire danger, so forth. But I am going to put a large window on the side of my trailer and have like a concession type deal in it, for selling coffee out of it and so forth, and have an air conditioner in it. So it can make it easier on me when I'm setting up at events. I can just pull up with my trailer and so forth. But I could make out something with my trailer, just in case I have to evacuate my chickens someday. There's a lot of money in if you have 87 chickens, you probably have a lot of money in them, Yeah. And I got really nice coops here, and they're not fire retardant. No, they'll light up they'll light up quick. But are you really prepared for an evacuation with your chickens? So of course, living by the coast, you got to deal with everything, and strong winds, flood waters, and during a hurricane, stuff like that. But that fire, man, that's a different thing. You have to pack it up and leave. You do. So, hey, let's think about something. Let's create a hurricane evacuation plan / wildfire plan for you and your chickens. Something to think about. You got to be prepared. All my life I've been prepared. It's probably from the backing from being in the military and so forth. I've always been that way. You got to plan your routes on where you're going to drive to and see all the roads around you. You can jump on your Google and put in a location. It'll take you and it'll try to avoid whatever traffic you can. But sometimes it doesn't tell you right off the bat. And if you know another way to go, it's the way to go. So you got to plan that. And then you got to plan for, you got to be able to watch where the weather's going or where the fires are going and so forth, and see that, because you don't want to block your evacuation routes and be stuck in traffic. And you get stuck in traffic, that could be bad. Besides getting everything out, you got to have stuff. You can't depend on a church or the Red Cross or the sheriff's department or the fire department to jump out and help you, because they're trying to help out thousands and thousands of other people as well besides you. So you got to do everything you can to take care of yourself. Don't depend on others. The people that depend on others are the ones that end up dying. They do, because they're not prepared. They just don't have the water, they don't have the food, they don't have the resources and so forth. So if you're prepared ahead of time, it's a lot better for yourself. You think, well, God, I can depend on my local church or the American Red Cross to give me all the food and water, but they're not always there right away. They might be a day or two away. So you got to have all this stuff for your pets and your chickens and your family, medications. Oh man, money, everything. Charging cord for your phone, stuff like that. But if you can create a kit in your vehicle, create like a car emergency kit, where you can store stuff in it, in the trunk of your car, or maybe in the back seat of a truck or something like that, or in the back of your SUV, to have it ready. Have a gallon or two of fresh water, non-perishable snacks, blankets, phone charger for the car, Garbage bags, that's a good one there too, because garbage bags, not just for garbage, but they're also good for waterproofing stuff in case you have to cover something up with water. Toilet paper, paper towels, an empty gas can. You don't have to keep gas in your truck because that's not a good thing, but have an empty gas can in there in case you have to go get gas because you've run out. You have something to put them in there, because if you depend on the store that's selling the gasoline to have a gas can, they're not, because everyone else that doesn't have one has already bought it. Jumper cables, a rope, or maybe a tow line of some sort. And the tow line, like I drive a car, what am I going to tow with the tow line? Well, it's not for you to tow someone else. It's for someone else to tow you with your car. Simple things like that. A first aid kit. That's important. You can buy little packs of water that you can put in there as well, besides bottled water and so forth. And then an emergency backpack. Each of your family members should have their own backpack. Okay, you got the kit in the car, which is great. But if everyone in your family has their own backpack, that's a good thing to have. And in your backpack, in the adult backpacks, you need photocopies of important documents like your insurance policies, deeds to your house, identification cards. Keep your backpack. A flashlight with matching replacement batteries. Once again, if it's a rechargeable flashlight, then you need the stuff to recharge it. Everybody's like a battery-powered radio with matching replacement batteries. Well, that's not hard to find these days. I mean, it's hard to find a battery-operated radio unless you buy it from Amazon ahead of time. But that's handy, dude, because everyone depends on their phones. So that comes to this. You need to get the little solar-powered battery for your phone. They make a solar power that you can put up on the dashboard of your vehicle, and it'll charge up that little battery pack, and then you can plug your phones into it, and then from your phones you can have music. But then again, if all the cell towers are down, you might not have any. You can't even get on your phone if your cell towers are down. So you're back to having a radio. You have your vehicle and so forth like that. But that's a good idea to have a battery operated radio. Oh, sorry about that. I'm yawning. And then, of course, have some money on you. Extra set of keys for your house and your car. And change of clothing. You might even have a list of phone numbers. Okay, have your phone numbers on a piece of paper in your wallet or in your backpack. Especially your kids' backpacks, because if for some reason they lose power on their phone, how are they going to get a phone number? Because no one remembers phone numbers anymore. I remember my phone numbers. I remember mom's phone number, my sister's phone number, my nephew's phone number. But shoot, I couldn't tell you the numbers of the non-emergency phone numbers for the law enforcement agencies anymore, like I used to know. But little things like that make a big difference. So be prepared, please be prepared. You have to be ready for that. So, a fire is something to mess with, that's for sure. I hope that no one, I've already heard of many houses have lost up in East Texas and everything, and I'm sure, being up in East Texas in the woods, people probably have chickens too, and I hate to think that they lost their chickens, lost their livestock, but it happens all the time, things we got to watch out. Last night I was watering my grass. I'm on a well. And the aquifer I'm on comes out of New Braunfels. And this house has been on the same aquifer for 100 years or so. But last night, my water stopped. And I'm like, oh, crap. I went out and checked my tank. My tank is like almost new. And I could knock on it. It was like empty. Pump's still working. But it's just, I think it's the aquifer. So many people using water out of that aquifer, and not getting any water to replace it. I mean, there's no groundwater going back in there. I really think it has to do with the aquifer, because I've been noticing lately during the day, water pressure is really low, and then at night it picks back up again. Yeah. it's back up to normal again since I haven't used it overnight. So hello, Bailey. Are you back to be on the show again? Yeah. So there's actually a new, in my office here where I do my podcast, I have a vinyl cutter, a Graph Tech vinyl cutter. In fact, Bailey was just sniffing it. It's over in the corner. And I can make vinyl signage with it. It's a Graph Tech 6000. It's a big one. And then behind me over here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right there, that big gray box right there, that's my new printer I just got in for making my own labels. I had another way of making labels, and it just wasn't working out for me. And the ink, if your fingers are wet and you touch the label, the ink would run, and you'd have a crappy looking label. And I didn't want that, so I went out and got this beautiful printer. Spent a lot of money on it, but it makes a big difference. So I printed out these like little label decals I did for the podcasts, but I'll be using these as giveaways and so forth at events. But I was creating my labels for my coffee too. Now I talk about Bailey's Brew Coffee all the time because it sponsors the show, but I do own another coffee business. It's my main one. It's called Patriot Knife Coffee. And I made this coffee years ago called SOS. And if you're in the military, you know what SOS is. It's shit on a shingle, which is what we ate for breakfast all the time. And, it was like leftover meat from the day before. So one morning in the Army, we'd get up and we'd have bacon and eggs. And they'd have all this grease left over. And they'd save the grease for the next day. And the next day, they would cook beef in that grease. And they'd make gravy. And they'd make SOS. And the next day, we wouldn't have bacon and eggs. We'd have shit on the shingle, which is toast with that gravy on it and meat. And who knows? It was always a mystery meat that was in it, Good, really good. I mean, especially if you've been out in the field working your tail off all day and you come in and you're hot and everything and you'll eat a dinner and then go to bed. I mean, dinner would always, when I was in the Army in the evenings, man, I ate so many salads in the evening because it was so hot during the day. I didn't want to eat any hot food. I drank a ton of water and I ate a big old salad. And a lot of people did. I just wanted that water back in their system. But in the morning, man, that breakfast is always so good because we'd get up at crack of dawn and go do exercises and come in and get cleaned up and showered, and then we'd head to the chow hall. And that chow was always good. And then if you're out in the field working, man, you go to eat, get in line at 5:30 in the morning to go eat breakfast or so, and that smell of coffee brewing, it was just a smell I'll never forget. But we'd have that shit on the shingle for breakfast. So since we ate SOS for breakfast, I created a coffee called SOS. And this label just happens to be from SOS Decaf. And I made it, and it was okay, but I didn't like it that much, so I discontinued it. And I now have a new breakfast blend for Patriot Knife Coffee that's really good. In fact, I'm drinking it right now. Oh, that's good. That's real good. I love my bourbon pecan. I drink it all the time. Bourbon pecan, my Texas bourbon pecan is the same as my drunk chicken coffee. That's your Bailey's Brew. It is. I just changed the name of them for different things. But this Patriot Knife SOS blend, oh my God, it's good. So you can go to patriotknifecoffee.com and buy that Patriot Knife coffee. And I'll have the SOS on there later today. I got to go fill up a bunch of coffee orders today. Bailey's Brew Coffee and Patriot Knife Coffee with all my new labels. My local feed store, they rebag stuff and sell it. And they sell smaller bags, so you don't have to buy a bunch. If you have one chicken or two chickens, 2 egg layers, you don't have a lot of chickens, you can go to D&D Feed and buy like a 5-pound bag of feed or a 10-pound or a 25-pound. You don't have to buy a big 50-pound bag of feed because, a lot of times your feed will get moldy and get old, and, you don't want to feed that to your chicken. So D&D sells smaller bags. I'm like, here's your hen scratch label I just did for them. That's going to go on their hen scratch. I got to deliver those today. But they have their own labels for their own products and so forth. Here's another label I did for them. This is for their D&D mealworms, poultry treats. I did those up for them. That'll go in their bags and so forth to identify their products better. They were just using plastic bags, like Ziploc bags, and it had a price tag on it, and it had a decal on it that said D&D. But unless you're you've been around chickens for a long time, you look at the item, you're like, what is that? Who knows? So now you can see what it is and want to buy it. Now, if you have a business and you need labels, holler at me, I'll take care of you. I'll give you a good price, I got to pay for this equipment. It wasn't cheap. It was not cheap, but labels are fast. I mean, I got all the D&D labels done in a day. I could have delivered them yesterday to them, but I just didn't have the time because of all my other work I was doing. I'm going to deliver them today. I got to go to the post office and deliver coffee and deliver some coffee as well to a customer. But I'm going to deliver those labels to them. So, oh well. Well, heck, it's been 31 minutes, Today I was also going to have on a chicken farmer from Minnesota. And last week they had a big storm come through and a tree blew over and fell on their house. And it wasn't major damage, but it was enough damage having to deal with State Farm insurance and then doctor's appointments and everything. He had to cancel on me again today, but I'll get him on. He's the Old Sweet Farm. Here's his logo from his page. Come on, show it. There it is right there. If you go on YouTube and look up the Old Sweet Farm, you'll see his farm. He's got a huge garden. At one time he had like 100 chickens. He reduced the amount of chickens he had. He's down to maybe 25 or 30 chickens, Oh my God, that's so good. But he's doing real good with it. So we're going to have him on, but he actually had some problems with his farm, and we're going to discuss that when he does come on. But next week I'm talking with Chuck and Sandra from Sheridan Park Farms out of North Carolina. They're homesteaders up that way. They've got cattle, they've got pigs, and they've got chickens and turkeys. And they grow them all themselves, and they butcher all their own poultry, cattle and pigs. They take it over to a market and have them butcher them and everything. But they sell them every weekend. He and his wife are out doing markets selling like I am. I go out and sell on weekends. I sell my coffee and I sell my eggs. But he's a real nice guy. He and his wife are really nice people. I enjoy watching their YouTube channel. And if you go to their Sheridan Park Farms, you can watch them. And it's really, really nice, wholesome family, They're really good farmers. I really like the way they set up and everything. You watch these shows and there's some people you're like, oh my God, this guy's a complete idiot, And Chuck isn't. He and his wife, they're really smart people. They're really quiet people, everything. But they know their stuff when it comes to chickens and turkeys and cattle and hogs and so forth. They really do know their stuff, but I've watched some shows. I unsubscribe from them because it's like, oh my God, So I was watching one of the YouTube channels a while back, Country View Acres, I think it is, and he had a problem with an implement, and myself and numerous other people got on there and said, "This is what you need to do." And the next show, he came on and says, hey, I want to thank my viewers for pointing something out to me because, it fixed the problem. And I'm glad they did. And for him to come online on his YouTube video and admit to it and thank his viewers, that's a good thing. Whereas another person I was following, he did some plumbing it was so stupid. It was unbelievable. I'm like, I can't believe this guy did that. So I got online and said, hey, that's not going to work. You need to do this. And I don't know if anyone else posted on it, but, it was so obvious that anyone would see it. Well, the next show, he gets on there, he goes, well, I was looking at this the other day, and I thought, man, I really screwed that up. So he goes, I changed it up and fixed it now. So If you did it wrong the first time, you didn't stare at it and think about it for a second and think, oh, I did it wrong. You just didn't know until someone pointed out to you, and you didn't admit to it. So I stopped watching the show. I'm like, no, no. So I started watching other things he was doing. I was like, no, no thanks. But I'm no know-it-all. I'm no chicken expert. I'm learning all the time from people. But when people point out something to you, you ought to admit to it and say, hey, man, I appreciate y'all admitting to it. And that's how you keep your watchers and listeners and so forth watching your show. And thanking them for it, so forth. I have listeners like Pine Box Provisions and Christine Petrushka and some other people that listen on a regular basis, and they pointed things out to me, and I appreciate that too. I really do, because I'm still learning a lot. We were going to go to a seminar up at A&M, and I couldn't find out they're full already. But I hope to have some good seminars at my event on October 21st. So we're still working on that. We're looking, if you want to come out and talk, if you're a chicken expert and you want to come out and talk poultry or talk chickens, you're welcome to it. We'd love to have you. And once again, if you want to show your birds, I'm working on the trophies now. Next week I'll have them. I'm actually doing metal cutouts of my trophies. Let me see if I got a picture of one of the past I've done. I don't think so. No, I don't. I'll see if I have one on here. But I do metal cutouts. A friend of mine cuts them out for me, whatever design I want. We mount them on a nice piece of oak wood that's stained and finished. And then we, actually, I use a decal on the front of it to name what it is. But it's a good looking thing. It'll last a long time. So we're making up a dozen of those. And we're going to have them for sponsors. And we're going to have for the 6, we're going to have open champion, open reserve, and then we're going to have grand champion and grand champion reserve. We're going to have most unique and the People's Choice Award. So we're going to have 6 awards, and entry fee is $3 per bird. Your birds must be PT tested. They have to be. No chicken will be allowed in unless it's PT tested. Hold on one second. Okay, it's working. So, and then if you're selling birds at the poultry sale, your birds have to be, you have to have a registration form with the Texas Animal Health Commission, sent in and so forth. It's like a $35 fee, one-time fee per year. That's for like 99 birds or less. But you have to have that. If you don't have that, if you don't have a PT test, I'm sorry, but you can't bring your birds in. If you're my best of friends, and you don't have PT test, I'm sorry, but you're not coming in. Nope. You hand me a $100 bill and say, hey, will you let me in? I'm going to say, nope, see you later. And I'm going to keep your $100 bill. Yeah, but I'm not going to let you in. And then you can call the sheriff's department and say, hey, yeah, I tried to pay this guy $100 off to let me in without a PT test, and he kept my $100 bill. Well, that's not going to happen. But no birds will be let in without a PT test or that TAHC registration form. You got to have it. I don't want to get my event shut down because you're too lazy to get that done. It's just something you have to do. And there's enough people around doing PT tests, and we will have people there on site doing PT tests as well. So I know Trina Blessing Robbins is going to be out there. She does feces tests on your chicken's feces and so forth, and tell you, she looks at the feces and tells you what's wrong with your chickens. So she'll be out there set up, and I believe she's going to do a seminar as well on it. And I'm waiting to hear back from some other people. But if you want to sponsor the event, this is a fundraiser for Lone Star Chicken Care and Klein FFA. I was finally able to get through to an FFA group, and it was Klein. And all the other ones, they just aren't interested, I guess, in getting free money for their FFA or promoting their FFA. Because if you're with an FFA and you want to come out and promote, you're welcome to come out and promote, set up a table for free, and promote your FFA. I don't mind that at all. But and if your students want to help out at the event, they can help out as well. And And then in the future, if your FFA has an event, they want to come on the podcast and talk about it, I'll be happy to have you on. That's for sure. I already talked to the teacher from Klein FFA, and she's interested in doing the podcast with the kids as well, which I'm glad to hear. Let me see. Who was that I met? I'm horrible at remembering names. I don't know. I can't find it. But that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun, that event. I've been talking with Taylor Burmaster from 2920 Roadhouse, getting that all planned out. We're going to be measuring everything soon out there to figure out where everything's going to go, tents and the vendor areas. If you want to be a vendor, it's $40 for a 12 by 12 spot. If you want to be a sponsor, gold sponsor is $500, and they get you a table right out in front of a 10 by 10 space right out in front of the seminar tent or the poultry tent. If you don't want to do that, you'll also get a banner that goes out front. The silver sponsorship is $250, and you get a banner, and then you get a spot between the poultry tent and the seminar tent, if you want to set up. And then I got a bronze sponsorship as well from $125, and that gets you that just gets you a spot to set up over there by the seminar tent or poultry tent, in between there. But that's what's going on. Yep. That's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, well, I got to get to work. I got too much to do. And I thank y'all for listening. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye.